Well, a very big question, but very important one. The profession really is responding to the question that's in everybody's mind about what is the real role and contribution of business to society. So how do we measure success anymore? What is business success? What does it mean? Particularly in the context of sustainability in the broadest sense, so the environmental, the governance and the financial sustainability, of course, of an organisation. So bringing that all together, I think that the demand for that change is coming from inside organisations, so employees, your customers. It's really driving a questioning of what success looks like. But of course, very much from outside, investors for a long time have been posing those questions and wanting to know how value is being delivered by organisations. And then we have governments, regulators, policymakers, an ever increasing list of external stakeholders are driving that. And very excitingly, I think, recently in June 2023, we saw the first sustainability standards being issued by the ISSB, and that's really ratcheted things up again in terms of how businesses are going to express their success in the future. So there's a leadership role, I think, that the profession and individuals, accountants, can play in driving that broader view of business success forward.
At Chartered Accountants Australia New Zealand, every year we do what's called an investor confidence survey, and we survey government stakeholders, investors and the community at large on what their expectations are. And what that has historically shown is that information such as climate information, sustainability information is important to investors. And we can see that changing and emerging and becoming even increasingly important. And I've got to have had a sneak peek of our survey results, and that trend is continuing and increasing, that investors want that critical information on climate risks, climate opportunities, and ESG on a more wider sustainability level. The role that accountants can play here is I think pretty clear, and that is in providing what they've always done for financial statements and providing really consistent, comparable, accurate, reliable information through that reporting, and that's what investors need. They need to be able to compare apples and apples and have a consistent framework for that. And the June announcement is part of that. That's a big step forward in providing at least some consistent standards for more generic related sustainability disclosures, but specifically starting off with climate. And there'll be things like biodiversity, etc., that'll follow and sway from that. Well, I mean, for the last 50 years, when we talk about value, it's been in the context of stakeholder value. But now what we've seen is added to stakeholder value is social, cultural, environmental value. And it's clear that society and the general expectations of both government and community is that companies, organisations address all of those parts of the long-term value creation framework. So not just stakeholder, but social, environment, cultural. What that means, or where the role of accountants comes in, is they are able to be the preparers, the assurers, guide organisations in how to set up their positions on these issues, how to transition in due course, and provide investor community more broadly that reliable, comparable information. And it is exciting. This is a new frontier for accountants, and I mean, I'm super excited about it. I think it's terrific. It's a great thing for the planet, of course, but for the profession in general, it's an incredible opportunity to provide real purpose to our social and environment creation around us. So I think it's really exciting, and I think accountants should be reading and doing their CPDs and as much as they can as possible to be ahead of the challenge and be there at the table with their clients in their organisations.
I think value is not a single concept that has been defined specifically, so sometimes it's a little difficult to grapple with, but grapple with it we must, because it is about that broadening of the understanding of what it is a business or an organisation delivers into society and a long-term view. So I think for many years we've been talking about sustainable organisations needing to take that long-term view, but now we're getting to grips, I think, with the elements that make it up, how we can strategise to deliver that longer-term value, whether it's around natural capital, people capital, the financial capitals, how we bring all of that together to ensure sustainable businesses, so in that sense sustainable, but of course contributing to sustainability in its broader sense for societies and economies. We reflected this bit in a report that ACCA published recently. Now let me get this right. The title is Chief Value Officer, the Important Evolution of the CFO. And that kind of the clues in the title there, that CFOs are going to make that transition to helping organisations, first of all, strategise to deliver that broader value, and then being accountable for that, reporting on it. And that's where the assurance piece comes in, where we see assurance developing rapidly to be able to assure on that value creation in the long term.